Are you interested in learning more about the yoga trapeze and if this is something that you want to add into your yoga or your home fitness routine? My name is Heather from yogabyheather.com. I am your yoga trapeze instructor, and in today's video what I want to do is give you a 101 level overview of the yoga trapeze, what the benefits are, and who's going to benefit the most from it. So if you're interested in learning more about the yoga trapeze, stick around. First, what is the yoga trapeze and how might it be different from something like aerial yoga or even mat yoga? And so this is my yoga trapeze setup. So we've got a main sling here. So in aerial yoga, you'll have a hammock. This is very similar here. We've got a main sling here. The fabric does spread out just like you would see in aerial yoga. The fabric feels a little like a parachute. Remember parachute pants from the 90s, those of you that have been around? So the fabric feels a little bit like a parachute. So we've got this main sling here, but then we've also got handles on the side. These are very similar to what a TRX might be. So we've got high, middle, and low handles. And so this is one of the main differences between yoga, trapeze, and aerial yoga is that you have these handles. The other difference is that you're gonna stay a little bit closer to the ground. We're gonna keep the main sling right about hip level. And so we're gonna stay a little bit closer to the ground than you would maybe in some of the different routines or poses that you might do in aerial yoga. Then from here, I've got my rig, which is what I use to set up my yoga trapeze so that I can use it outside. I don't have a place in my home to set it up. I don't have like a tree with a solid limb on it that I can hang it on. So I have purchased the rig here to be able to use my yoga trapeze. You can also purchase anchoring sets that you can anchor it into a ceiling, into some sort of a stud in your ceiling. So this is the way I have mine set up, and it's just because of my personal situation. We're not hanging this up in my house just yet, and I don't have a tree. I've got trees, but I don't have a tree that has a solid limb, okay? So this is the yoga trapeze setup. Now let's talk a little bit about how the yoga trapeze differs from regular mat yoga. And you can see here that I do have a yoga mat on the ground. I have it here simply because you can do various sequences on the yoga trapeze that incorporates yoga mat poses. So you can simply put a yoga mat underneath your yoga trapeze and you can do things like child's pose and downward dog, and you can do some of these poses without the yoga trapeze and then bring in some poses that do use the yoga trapeze. So you can do sort of a hybrid approach, a mixed approach there. The other reason I have the yoga mat down here is that I live in Arizona and I'm in the grass and there's scorpions. So that's why I have this here. But mat yoga is going to be very much focused on, obviously, on the yoga mat. And then with trapeze yoga, what you can do is you'll get a lot more of the pulling motions. So you don't get a lot of like pulling exercises in mat yoga. Whereas if you're doing some sort of weightlifting where you bent over, you've got a dumbbell and you're bent over and you're doing some sort of a row, you're getting that pulling, you don't get that in mat yoga. And so with the yoga trapeze, you can use the handles here, you can use them very much like a TRX, and you can do different types of pulling motions, and then you can also use the handles as well as you want to get up into the sling and do some inversions, things like this. You can use the handles to help pull after you are in an inversion. You're going to use those handles to help pull you back up. So some of the main benefits of the yoga trapeze, we've got three that I really like to highlight. And the first is building upper body strength. So again, with that pulling motion, that pulling exercise that you don't get with mat yoga, you get that with yoga trapeze. So you're using the handles here to do a lot of pulling. You're going to build that upper body strength in ways that you can't do with mat yoga. The second is spinal decompression. So with the yoga trapeze, and even with aerial yoga as well, but with the yoga trapeze, you can do a lot more inversions that maybe aren't going to be accessible to you yet as you're doing mat yoga. So sometimes when we're doing mat yoga and trying to get into things like a headstand or a handstand, it can be intimidating as maybe you're newer to a yoga practice. Those poses aren't accessible to you, or maybe you just don't want to do those types of poses. That's totally okay. This is going to provide you some assistance in doing some of those inversions. So you're going to be able to come inverted. You're going to be able to do things like very similar to handstands, to headstands. That's going to give you that inversion, the benefits of an inversion, but because you've got the additional support of the yoga trapeze, it's going to help decompress that spine. So any sort of tension or compression that you have in your spine, it's really going to help to stretch out your spine and stretch it out in ways that you didn't know that you could stretch things out. So it feels amazing. It feels really good. And the third benefit of the yoga trapeze is that you can do things like passive back bends. So when you're doing back bends in like a fitness routine or in mat yoga, these are very active poses. You're holding those muscles, you're using those muscles to keep you in that back bend, okay? So when you come in here and you place your bottom in the yoga trapeze and you lean back and do a back bend, it's a very passive stretch. So you can relax those muscles, you can let everything go, you can dangle there and get the benefits of that passive back bend. So if you find this interesting so far, let me know in the comments below. Are you interested in trying out the yoga trapeze? Do you have a yoga trapeze at home and you haven't really done anything with it yet? Or maybe you are a fitness enthusiast who's just looking for some different ways to add some variety into your fitness routine? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. Who should use the yoga trapeze? Who is this for? And if I think about myself and my own reason for wanting the yoga trapeze is that I really like fitness. I really like doing things with my body. I really like moving my body. And I like to find different ways that are fun, exciting, and add a little bit of variety to my regular fitness routine. I do a lot of weightlifting, I do a lot of hiking, and I do a lot of mat yoga as well. But this gives me some variety, some different things. And like I said earlier, that gives you some stretches that you didn't know that you could stretch, okay? So I really think the yoga trapeze is great for those of you who you might be a weightlifter, a CrossFitter, a power lifter, a hiker, a swimmer, a triathlete. You've got some other sport or other activity that you absolutely love doing, but you're looking for a little bit of variety and maybe even something to do on your active recovery days. So AKA your rest days. So you taking a rest day, but you still want to get some stretching in. You want to stretch out some of your muscles. The yoga trapeze is going to be a great way to get some of those stretches in on your active recovery days. So I really think that the yoga trapeze is very beneficial for those of you who you're an adult athlete, you're maybe a weekend warrior, you're doing marathons on the weekend and all those kinds of fun activities. This is going to be a great addition to your regular fitness routine. I also think this is really great for those of you who have a regular yoga practice and want to get a little bit more deeper into some of your poses, into some of the stretches that you're doing in your regular yoga practice. This does give you variety, just like any other fitness enthusiast. This is going to give you a lot of variety. It's going to give you the opportunity to get into some poses that might not be accessible to you without the help and support of the yoga trapeze itself. So I really think this is great for those of you who, again, you're into fitness already and you want to add some variety. Maybe you're doing a regular yoga practice. This is also great for those of you that maybe you haven't really established a fitness routine yet and you're trying to find something that you like. One of the things that I always say is that if you are getting into fitness, you're getting into a weight loss regime, a workout regime, find something that you love doing and do that thing. Oftentimes I'm asked, what is the best exercise for this? What is the best exercise for that? And the answer is, it's the one that you're gonna do, okay? So if somebody has said to you that, you need to be doing 30 minutes of activity a day and you're trying to figure out, well, what is that? What is that thing? The yoga trapeze can absolutely be one of those things that you add into your routine as you're getting started on your personal wellness journey. Now, you always want to make sure that you're checking in with your healthcare provider on the yoga trapeze. There are some people that should not use the yoga trapeze, so make sure you're checking in with your healthcare provider before you start using and before you even make the investment in the yoga trapeze itself. And then finally, some safety and setup tips. I kind of went over how my setup is at the beginning of this video, but what you want to make sure is that, with the yoga trapeze, we're generally going to keep the sling, the main sling here, at waist level. We might, at some points, lower it down a little bit, but for the most part, you're going to keep it at waist level. It's not going to be like doing some of these, aerial poses or aerial silks where you go way up into the sky or anything like this. You're going to stay closer to the ground with the yoga trapeze. So you want to make sure that you're keeping it at waist setup. You want to make sure that you keep everything detangled. That there's 3 different handles on each side plus the main sling itself, okay? So when you're doing some of these, especially when you're doing things like inversions, you want to make sure that everything is untangled, that this main sling is opened and it's free, it's moving freely. you just don't want those things to get into your way, and it's just one more thing you've got to think about if it's not detangled. And then also, before you even get started, as you've got it set up here, before you even get started, you're going to make sure that it's going to hold your weight. You're going to give it a good tug, give it a good, pull, making sure that it's going to hold you. But then you're also checking up here at your clips, making sure that they're fully clipped, that there's no rips, there's no tears, there's no damage done to your sling, so that it's going to help provide that support that you need. So if you are a fitness enthusiast, you're a triathlete, you might be a hiker, you might be a biker, a weightlifter, powerlifter, etc., and you're looking for some ideas for your active recovery days or your rest days, I do have a guide. It's Yoga for Active Recovery. It's for active adult athletes, where we go into 10 different poses that you can do as part of your active recovery days. These are on the yoga mat. I will be making a separate guide that will be Yoga for Active Recovery using the yoga trapeze. That will be coming soon. But in the meantime, if you are somebody who's looking for something to do on your active recovery days, get some good stretching in, you can download my Yoga for Active Recovery guide. The link is in the description below. I hope you'll check that out. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and you'll get all the notifications when I release more Yoga for Active Recovery videos and more yoga trapeze videos. So thank you again. My name is Heather from yogabyheather.com. Talk to you soon.